1,279 miles, 7 days, 2 countries, 24 inches of snow, 3 resorts, 2 mountain collective passes, and a whole lot of skiing. We're going on a road trip. A couple of months ago now, in March actually, I hit the road from Boston for a week-long adventure to ski Bromont, Le Massif, and Sugarloaf, all of which are on the Mountain Collective Pass. When most people think of great skiing trips, I'm not sure that they think of the East Coast, neither in the US nor Canada. But I think for me, this trip was mostly to hit some spots that I'd never been to, that weren't too far from home, and then wrap the trip at one of my favorites. Before going skiing though, there was one necessary but extremely out of the way detour that had to happen. I hit the road, drove 3 hours, stopped for gas, drove 2 more hours, and then finally, I arrived at Syracuse University to pick up my brother to join me on this road trip. You see, I went out of my way here to pick him up for a few reasons. One, it's the nice brother thing to do. You gotta get those points in where you can because now he owes me one. 2, I graduated from Syracuse a few years ago. It's got a special place in my heart. And now here my brother is graduating as well. This is quite literally one of the last times we will both be here on campus together. And sadly enough, one of the last times where we will be able to do a trip like this without us both being situated in adulthood. Call this trip a proper send-off to a big chapter in our lives.
Oh. All right, time to drive. Here we go.
And just like that, we got back into the car, drove for about 5 more hours through the middle of nowhere, crossed the border into Canada, and then we arrived at our first stop, Bromont.
Run one down, we're officially in Canada.
The East Coast had a horrible end of February and beginning of March. As far as we were concerned, if the sun came out and there was snow to be skied, it would be a win. We knew our ideal weather window for this trip would be the latter half at Le Massif and Sugarloaf. So as long as it wasn't raining, we were ready to just have a new experience at Bromont. Our first impressions were all over the map. And speaking of map, we should probably have looked at one before getting on a lift. At first we thought the resort was maybe 10 trails, but upon getting to the top of that first lift, we realized that we were very wrong. The only way to describe it was getting off the lift and seeing multiple peaks all in a big circle. So similar to like a Sunday River in Maine, the elevation wasn't crazy, but the expansiveness was. We soon realized that Bromont actually had 450 acres of skiable terrain across 7 mountainsides, 141 trails for all levels, and 104 of which were lit for night skiing. Vermont's a night skier's paradise, and the conditions we got gave us a sneak peek at spring skiing. While spring skiing is great, we wanted some winter, and it seems that we were actually about to hit the jackpot. The second half of our Mountain Collective road trip brought us to 2 more resorts, starting with Le Massif.
Howdy. Howdy. Let's get it.
Le Massif is another spot on the trip that I had never been to before. I think this was actually the most north place I had ever been in my life, and it certainly felt like it. The amount of people that spoke English decreased, while the amount of people speaking French increased. The hostel we stayed at was 25 miles from the closest gas station, convenience store, restaurant, bar, or grocery store, and we were staying at the base of the mountain. At first we were thrown off by this, but then we realized this is why people come to ski at Le Massif. And according to the locals, there's never any lift lines, it frequently snows more than anywhere else on the East Coast, and it has the most vert east of the Rockies in Canada. The vibe there was just amazing. It's also an inverted mountain, and what I mean by that is you actually park at the top and ski down to the lifts, as opposed to most resorts where you park at the base and just walk. This also explains why my Airbnb at the base was so cheap and why we were so far from all of civilization. Duly noted for next time. While we had very limited snow at Bromont and 17 fresh inches of snow at Le Massif, we knew that there had to be something unexpected coming at Sugarloaf. Stop 3 brought us back to the US, to Maine, to one of my all-time favorite spots. 3 consecutive bluebird days that were in the wake of the same 17 inches that Le Massif got. Sun in the sky, leftovers across every trail. Days like these happen once in a blue moon in New England, and sometimes you think that they really are just a myth. There's over 1,300 skiable acres here. It's huge, and it's actually one of the tallest mountains in Maine, with the only lift serviced above treeline skiing in the east. Every time I leave here, I'm just trying to figure out when I can come back next. And now here we are, skis are stashed away in the basement, pretending to play bikes while dreaming about trips like these with my brother, and planning when I can break this Mountain Collective Pass out to do it all over again.